Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Kickpod podcast, the podcast dojo of inspirational martial arts talk. I am your host, TJ Williams, giving you the insight of my martial arts journey, discussing and analyzing martial arts based subjects, and highlighting individuals involved in martial arts past, present, and future. All right. So before we kind of get in our episode, of course, for those who are just joining me, this is a pre-recorded episode. So whatever I talk about now is prior to the release date. So for let's say we're finally in May 1st. All right, which is wonderful. Spring is on its way. Hopefully, get rid of this cold weather. But nevertheless, we got three interesting days coming up. One for those who are Star Wars fans. The May 4th is the National Star Wars Day. And you know the ironic saying, May the 4th be with you. So for those who are subscribed in Disney Plus, I know you're probably going to watch a marathon of the 9 movies, which is probably going to be an all-nighter if you're not working. But nevertheless, yeah, for those who are fans of Star Wars, I mean, we always want to honor those the whole series, the whole saga, which is great because you know those lightsaber fights are good. All right, another good day is Cinco de Mayo. Of course, for those who has a Mexican American heritage, of course, you celebrate that. I mean, the victory of the Mexican army over the French army of Napoleon. So that's that. And lastly, there's Mother's Day. All right, so always honor your mother, and for that mother figure, so at least give her some flowers. I mean, give her a kiss, whatever you want to do. I mean, it's your day. It's your day, mom. All right. All right, so let's get to this episode time. All right, so for those who are fans of MMA, mostly the major promotions, Bellator, UFC, Strikeforce, you might want to keep an eye on my guest for this week's episode. Of course, he made a debut in B2 Fighting Series in February, a developmental MMA promotion. I mean, he currently holds a 2-0 record and ranked number 5 in the North Beldum Beldum weight division. All right, so he agreed to come on a show to talk to us and share us a story. And I want everybody to introduce well, let's just say I'm gonna put this in Michael Buffer voice. Introducing Jordan the Gastank Gas. All right, so thank you so much for joining me, Jordan. So how we doing over there?
Doing good. Thank you so much for having me on here.
Yeah, amazing. I'm out there trying to at least get enough guests and at least get myself prepared for my next rank, my next fifth degree rank. So I want to at least talk to people, talk about their experience. You know, I created this show 2 years ago, so it's going great. So lovely.
Good.
All right, so let's kind of get to like what you're doing with MMA. So how's that going for you since you got that debut?
Debut's been great. I've had a second fight since then, and it's just been a dream come true. You know, just working hard, and I love the training part of it. You know, I don't just love the winning part of it. The training, man. I felt lost this past week since I just had this fight, and I took this week off. Kind of, you know, I just been depressed. Don't know what I even do with life, man. I'm ready to compete again already.
Yeah. So can you tell us like when's your next fight, or where you going for the next fight?
I'm going for June 25th. It's the Louisville card for B2, and we're just waiting for a name right now. So I'm ranked number 5. I'm hoping to get, you know, at least someone, you know, I'll fight someone top 10. You know, if someone wants to try to make their way up, you know, I'll do that fight. Or if he wants me to fight one of the top 4 guys, you know, I'm with that too. So I'm just training for whoever.
Man, I understand your division is like the title is vacant. So of course, so I'm guessing probably along the way you'll be like that top number 1 contender for that title, or yeah, you'll be fighting for that title.
I'm hoping so.
Oh yeah. All right. So what we're going to do, Jordan, we're going to bring our guests. We're going to have our guests bring you back in time, or you're going to bring the guests back in time. So we're going to go right back to the beginning before all this happens. So I'm going to start off with the first 3 questions, because usually when I have guests on the show, they get like the first three questions that I was going to ask, and I don't ask them, but yeah, but usually here's the first question. All right, describe yourself before martial arts like enter your life. And number 2, what event got you interested? And number 3, what's that one event that got you pushed into martial arts? So I'll take it away.
So before I started martial arts, I was a young kid. I started wrestling at a young age, at 6th grade. So before then, it was hard to say there was a time before martial arts, because I was watching Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles, all those cartoons that showed a different form of fighting, and I just fell in love with it. So as a kid, I was always fighting my brother. We'd always do WWE matches and all that good stuff. So, really before, there was no before. It was always combat, fighting my brothers in whatever style we could see on TV, to point where started wrestling. And my very first wrestling practice, I thought, was like WWE. I moved to Indiana, to where my dad was living, and we didn't have wrestling where I was at in Kentucky. So once I got here to Indiana, I thought it was WWE style. So it was getting me into it. My friends were telling me about, so, oh, I love that. Tables, ladders, and chairs. Let's get it. And then we got to the first practice and realized it was not that at all, but fell in love with it right away. Just was pretty dominant. I was strong as a kid and was just pretty dominant, but I didn't even know how to score. I just, they said, get the guys back to the mat just like they do on WWE, and you win. And I was like, there we go.
Yeah. Yeah, just thinking about wrestling. Of course, I did a wrestling show last night. Of course, let's just say though, I did the independent wrestling type, so I was in a battle royal. So I mean, yeah, I do. Yeah, battle royal.
Doing that, that's awesome, man. I love that stuff. I wind up looking up some of your stuff, man. That's great. I love your character and all that stuff. It's awesome.
Yeah, really. I still feel the chop that I got last night. Really, it's like I got paintbrushed.
Oh man, I'll check that out.
Yeah. All right. So of course, here you are. You are an amateur wrestler. I mean, you said you did a 6th grade and you went up to high school and did wrestling, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. And then of course you go to college to do wrestling?
I had some scholarships. I went and looked at some colleges. I didn't take that route. I was going to try to wrestle for the military, and 10 days before my ship date, they caught wind that I got a disc bulge in my third spinal cord up, and they wouldn't let me go through with it. So I just jumped back into judo and jiu-jitsu and knew that I had to prove them wrong, and was going to become the best warrior that anybody could see. Doesn't matter about the spinal cord or not. I'm still working hard.
Yeah, so that was almost your push into martial arts. Like, of course, you did amateur wrestling, and then of course from there you started doing jiu-jitsu. So like, can you describe like your first class when you went into jiu-jitsu? Because you had that, I should say, double indemnity since you did wrestling. So what you Brazilian jiu-jitsu, that's how kind of into like wrestling, right?
Right. Yeah. My first class with jiu-jitsu, I was scared at first, and then I just realized it's just like wrestling. The coach is going to show a move. You watch him do that move. You go with your partner, you train that move, and then once you start live rolling, try to incorporate that move when you can. So I started just rolling and learning it super easy, and the coaches noticed that I was just be able to learn it and pick up on moves real quick, and it really made me comfortable. Just how like you said, just it's hand in hand with wrestling. So it really helped out a lot, and helped out with the aspect of what to do when I'm on my back. Because normally when I'm on my back, our wrestling match is over, but now it's showing what can you do from there to get out of that spot. And really enjoyed it, really loved it. And that was actually in my first gym, mat side, that was in Seymour. And it was a good gym, but then I wound up moving to Columbus, and they had gi. So my very first gi class, because I did no gi for like 2-3 years before I even started gi, and I fell in love with that right away. It was a whole new thing. It was, you could choke someone out with your shirt. I was like, oh yeah, this is great. I knew that I would always have to train more no gi for my MMA, but the gi was just amazing. It blows my mind of just how much more control you can have, the more submissions you can do with it, man. It's great. I love them. And I'll never forget my first classes, how everybody's so accepting, how it was a brotherhood there. You walk in and everybody is so nice to you. You think it's going to be a violent sport and violent people. It's not. It's violent sport, can be, but it's nice people, the nicest people you'll ever meet. So that's what really hooked me in to keep coming, is the nice people.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not very big on doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I don't like being on the ground, but of course, yeah. In this case, when I started training martial arts, they always teach you like doing self-defense on the ground, because I mean, honestly, you wouldn't do Brazilian jiu-jitsu out in the street, like, because you never know that person that you're trying to defend yourself against. They may have more people, and
Yeah.
and if you're just like rolling the ground, you're in trouble, and you're like, yeah. So, but it's great that you kind of build up that reputation of doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and then you kind of transition to go into like competing. So,
Yes.
of course, when did you decide to actually compete in MMA?
I always knew it was the dream. Ever since I was young, when I was wrestling, George St. Pierre was inspiring me how he could use his wrestling to win. So when I was wrestling in middle school, I knew that I was always going to be in that cage one day, but I always wanted to do it at the right time. I didn't want to rush into it and get losses. I really wanted a clean record, and I knew I had to do it right. So I needed to train properly and wait till I was in the right position in life to get into it. So I wanted to compete with wrestling and jiu-jitsu first, make sure I had everything on deck, work my hands. I haven't showcased my hands a lot, but I do work it. I work it a lot, and I wanted to do all that before I even stepped in the cage. So once I felt that I was, the right timing, I jumped in. I have 3 unsanctioned fights with Street Beefs. I don't know if you ever heard of Street Beefs, but I have 3 fights with them. So I jumped in with them and got my, mind in the fire and was getting comfortable in it before I jumped to B2. And I just wanted to be so prepared before I ever stepped out there, so that way I can have a good, clean record and experience before I start my journey.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, of course, it's more than just physical. It's mental and like
Yes.
everything. I mean, of course, you have to study a lot of videos and a lot of tapes, especially with your opponents. You
Right.
got to figure out what their strategy is. And like I said, I watched your first fight. And, I was like really hoping that you was going to go the first round, but it's like you got him in the second round. Yeah.
Yeah.
But definitely with your second fight, you definitely got him in the second round. Like, really, I say the worst thing you want to do to somebody is just have their back to you. And then from there, you're done.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I made that mistake a couple times. We just roll around in martial arts, and then I got this one guy that I usually roll around with, and I was like, I try to like out wrestle him or out jujitsu him, but next I make the mistake of turning my back to him, and then here I am in a rear naked chokehold, and I have the
Yep.
tap.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Worst thing to do in a fight is turn your back to him.
yeah, amazing. Yeah, and I know you mentioned George St. Pierre. I mean, I was hoping that I was going to get a seminar from him like last year in
Oh man.
Vegas, because we have our annual convention. But for this year convention, I'll be able to actually get like tips from him because he's actually coming. So I definitely going to look forward to that.
That's exciting.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely gets that top guy. All right, so for what would you say that your favorite moment would be, like throughout all this so far?
I'd like to say I'm still creating my favorite moments. Every time I fight, I just a new favorite moment comes, But really, I'd have to say my favorite moment is when I'm with my dad. My dad's been through this whole journey with me since the wrestling days. So every time that he gets to be with me in the corner or be with me, warming up, it's a new moment that I really truly enjoy, man. We've been pushing hard for this dream for a long time, and he knows my true potential and has been by my corner the whole time. So those are my favorite moments there with my dad, and when he gets to see me and my hand raised and all the hard work that we both put in. He wins it through me now, and I could tell that, man. And it's my favorite moments for real.
And it's always best to have that family support. Like I said, usually with wrestling, I don't expect my mom to go to every event, but it's like it's nice to actually let her know that I'm doing great with it.
Yeah.
It's just the same with martial arts. She's not going to be at every test or not every class, but she sees that I'm doing great. That it's like that just gives me a reason to get that extra drive. Uh,
Yes.
all right though. So going into your first fight, and I know, like I said, I mentioned that you beat him in the second round. So what was your mindset for that first fight?
The first fight, like I said, I had the 3 unsanctioned fights, really wasn't quite like B2. So with my first B2 fight, I wanted to prove that I have experience. I have the ground game and I've been doing it my whole life. So I wanted to get it to the ground as quick as possible and just show that I was dominant and strong there, because I lift pretty heavy. I lift weights pretty hardcore. It's something that people don't get to see. And I wanted to showcase just how strong I am. So as soon as it gets to the ground, the mindset was get it to the ground to show these people that, like, I'm a Midwestern American wrestler is what I am, and wanted to showcase that. And that mentality just follows through most of these fights, man. I just want to showcase that, we do hard work here in Southern Indiana wrestling.
Yeah, so I guess the main thing for you is like, I know when it comes to MMA, it's mostly striking and kicking, but for you, you want to try to take away their extremities. So without their extremities, they can't do much. So go for a leg, go for an arm, and of course, if you get to the back and you go for the rear naked chokehold and like just either tap them out or should I say pass them out pretty much.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And I was watching that second fight, and I mean, I guess the other guy was really studying you. He knew what's coming, so he sprawled. So
Right.
really, yeah. I mean, that was like the good technique to sprawl, really.
He knew I was gonna shoot too, so he tried to get my back against the cage and rushed me. But I'll shoot from any range, man. It don't matter. In wrestling, we didn't have no cages to stop us there from shots, so I know I can get a shot even without a cage. So I don't care if his back against the cage or not. He had a good sprawl at first, but it's just wasn't enough.
Yeah, I mean, I probably had to watch that many times. Like I was like counting this, like after was it like 2 minutes that you like tapped them out, or yeah,
I think it was a minute 41.
Yeah, so I gotta look at that again. So that was good.
Thank you.
I mean, that was obviously no kicks or punches put in, but you just went for it. Yeah, but yeah, I see you put a couple shots in there. You want to soften them up for that. Yeah.
Expose his neck. Yeah. That's all I went for, is just exposure. I don't really punch to, I haven't had to punch yet to really do some damage. I've just really had to punch to expose them for an submission, a choke.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Also mentioned that you were in the WWE. So what era that you started watching WWE?
I was in the, what was it called? The Attitude Era.
Yeah.
I was born 1993, man, and my dad got me in it right away, and, I started remembering the matches, late 1990s, early 2000s, Stone Cold, The Rock, D-Generation X, all of that. That's my stuff. I still listen to their theme songs when I work out.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. For me, if I'm running a treadmill, I'm listening to Stone Cold Steve Austin. I'm just thinking of like, I'm him just running down the aisle and just running the ring and just giving people Stone Cold stunners.
Yes, that's awesome. That's great.
Yeah, but for me, I was like born like in the golden age, like when Hogan and Macho Man, all those great wrestlers.
Yeah,
it's like, and even Undertaker. Yeah,
I love that. My dad was that's the era he watched, and I've learned about those guys through him. Then I've now seen documentaries on him through the internet and all that stuff, and I love that era too. It was great then too. It was a whole different thing.
Yeah, I mean, now I gotta go and watch Peacock and like watch a marathon of WrestleMania or something.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay, so as of course you say you're getting ready for your third fight, so you don't know who he's facing, but yet you are training for it. Mostly you're going into strikes, and so what would you say that you would study most of, like when it comes to either strikes, grappling? Like, who would you say 3 people that you would study?
3 people that I would study to mimic?
Yeah, almost like, yeah.
Michael Chandler for sure. I really like to mimic his style because he is a little bit shorter than most of his opponents in his weight class. So he gets this low karate stance kind of, but still almost a wrestling stance. So I kind of mimic that. And then Khabib, once he gets to the ground, I try to mimic it like Khabib, top pressure. If I could tie his legs up, be tying his legs up and wait for just exposure at all points. And then the third person, if I can mimic someone on stand-up, it'd have to be Conor McGregor. He's pretty accurate. He is pretty accurate. He gasses out quick. I wouldn't want to mimic that, but his stand-up, I would like to mimic that.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so outside the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and the MMA, what would you say? What other style would you like to study just to help you prepare for like future matches?
I would really like to learn Muay Thai. That would be the number one. Muay Thai and kickboxing is what I'm going for, is what I've been trying to pick up on here lately. It's what we've been practicing. But if I had to just choose one, it'd be Muay Thai. That way I can get all points of the body, you know, elbows, knees, and the hands and feet.
Yeah, but but you definitely want to get to those other styles like kickboxing, even boxing in general, to be extra prepared.
Yes, I would also like to learn karate as well, and kung fu. Those would be two other ones I would like to learn as well. Outside of that, man, I don't really have any other interest in the other forms of martial arts.
Yeah, it's like when for you to be like in that greatness of MMA, you want to make sure you have, like I said before, and like a lot of indemnity, like a lot of insurance. So if one thing fails, you have another thing to kind of back you up. So if Brazilian jiu-jitsu doesn't work, you know, you got, of course, kickboxing and Muay Thai, you can go for
Yep.
shots and you go for a knockout.
Yep.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so let's kind of get to like the quote. What kind of quote would you say that best describes your journey?
Hard work will beat talent when talent isn't willing to work hard enough. That's I'm all about hard work, and that comes from back in my wrestling day. My coaches, you know, they've put me through the grind, and that's how I got the name Gastank. You know, because I go all day, and that's the best quote I could say. If that guy's more talented than me, he's not working harder than me.
Yeah. I mean, definitely with endure. That's the best thing about MMA. You want to be well endurenced, and if you're not trained on the endurance, you know, you're, of course, like you said, the gas tank won't be full. But for you, with you having or name that gas tank, that definitely proves that you are really high on endurance.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, I get better endurance when it's like super hot outside, but I can't do it when it's cold. Yeah, that's how I get my best energy is when it's hot. So, all right. So let's see. What else I can ask? Oh yeah. If you had a chance to actually do like what I was doing, independent wrestling, or even go to WWE or AEW or even Impact. So what would they, if they actually gave you a contract, would consider it?
Oh yeah, I would definitely consider it. And right now with the pay, oh yeah, Gable Stevenson. I don't know if you know that a wrestler. He won the Olympic gold in wrestling for America. He's a college wrestler, just finished up college career. He had the opportunity to go to the UFC or WWE, and he took the WWE route, and that was very smart of him for him to make that money first, make the money, train longer, and then go to the UFC. So if I had that route, I'd probably go to WWE, make that money, and it's fun. That stuff looks really fun. I've never learned how to high fly, and I feel like that would be one of my
Oh
styles.
yeah.
That stuff looks amazing to me, and I know you got to be in great shape for it, so it would still be amazing training. You know, I wouldn't be missing out on any of that. I would definitely love to go to WWE. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I mean, I feel like I'm past that route, but I prefer independent wrestling, you know, but it's still like you got that creative freedom pretty much. But you know, if you want to have somebody come up with your gimmick, you know, that's all right with you. But for me, I'm just
Is,
not in the contracts, you know. I'm
is
just,
that what that means? Like WWE will make their own persona for you?
yeah, pretty much that's the whole gimmick. They create everything from matches, and then you know, they have
Okay.
that whole creative team. But with independent wrestling, it's like you got your own gimmick, you got your own plan of doing a match. So it's
Okay.
yeah.
Be more creative. Okay.
Yeah, so that's the route I want to go through. Yeah, so awesome. All right, everybody, we're reached to our hitting dojo segment of the interview. So this is like 7 questions that I asked for you. This is like the fun part. So this is where the fun begins. So this is where we get outside of the
Okay.
martial arts journey, and then we kind of get to like what you do, like your hobby pretty much. All right, so the first question is the best piece of advice you ever gotten and who said it?
I'd have to say that follows in with the hard work is willing to beat talent when talent isn't willing to work hard enough. And I first heard it from my high school wrestling coach, Coach Jones. That was a famous quote he would always say. You know, he didn't come up with it, but it was one that he always said, and it always just stuck with me, man. That's been in my journey my whole life, just always wanting to outwork everybody. You know, no matter how much talent they have, you know, we're gonna outwork them.
Mm. Man, that's like you're looking straight at them. You're like, if you're in like a fitness class, you're in the front row, you're looking straight at the instructor and say, I'm gonna beat you. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Next question. Usually people don't get this one. The worst advice you ever gotten.
The worst advice, I tried out to be a basketball player when I was real young first. And, I wouldn't say it's advice, but I just got told, you're too small for any of this, man. You're too small. I was playing football as well, and you're too small for it. You're too small for it. You don't play sport, play another sport. It's not as physical, and that advice didn't stick well with me. Man, I was like, I had to prove that wrong,
Yeah.
And I can't say I've had a whole lot of bad advice because, whatever advice I did take, it made me who I am today. So, it was just advice. I can't say it was good or bad, it put me where I am today.
Yeah, it's like you're like listening to that doctor that says you can't do this, you can't do that, but yet you prove them wrong. A lot of people out there are not qualified to even give you advice if they know if they haven't done it themselves, then there's no question they should tell you not to do something, and you didn't haven't done it.
Exactly.
All right. Guilty pleasure. How would you reward yourself?
The sweets, the sweets, man. I can cut weight pretty heavy, but I can gain it pretty heavy too. I always take a week off after a fight and just eat desserts and eat greasy foods, fried foods. That's how I really like to enjoy my time. I don't really do a whole lot of bad habits at all. So, the bad habit I do have, it's going to be eating sweets.
Yeah, I mean, really, you do all that hard work, and you deserve some guilty pleasure. But definitely during training, you have to at least keep yourself lean and prepared. Yeah. All right. If you were going to be in a famous movie, what movie would you want to be in?
300 with the Spartans.
Yeah, I can see that. Really.
I want to prove that I always will go to war all the way till the end, man. I'm gonna come back with my shielder on it.
Yeah. So if other than how about you try to pick up like a non fight movie? What would you pick?
A non-fighting movie. Sure, it's hard to say. I don't watch a whole lot of non-fighting movies. They're typically action movies. Non-fighting.
Or like a comedy movie.
Comedy. Oh, Biodome. Biodome. I would love to be in the Biodome and check that place out with those. I actually met Pauly Shore when he did a tour up here in Indianapolis, man, and we actually got to speak with him for about 5-10 minutes after the show. And hilarious guy. I would love to be in the Biodome stuck with that guy.
Yeah, you had Pauly Shore. I actually met his girlfriend in the movie. What was it Joey Adams? What was it? I forgot what her name is, but that was her name. I don't know. I think it was Monique was her name.
Oh, in the movie, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, in the movie. Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. All right, so I met her. All right, secret talent.
I have a lot of talents, man, and I don't keep them a secret. I like to let people know, but I'd have to say, some of my talents outside of fighting is I like to skateboard a lot, and I don't get to do it a whole lot because I try to keep myself safe for my competition. So, a week after a fight or competition, I get 1 week to where I allow myself to skateboard and go hit the ramps and take a little risk and maybe fall off the skateboard, get a little damaged. But, not a lot of people know about that because I don't really showcase my skateboarding, but I do like to skateboard.
Yeah. I can't skateboard. I will fall. I'm not Mary McFly. Yeah. All right. Dream celebrity encounter.
Michael Chandler. I've watched him before even his debut in Bellator because I watched college wrestling, and he was in a killer weight class back in his college day. And I kept up with that whole weight class because it was just one of the most dominating weight classes. Justin Gagey was even in that weight class at the same time. They were in a bracket at once, almost had to face each other. But I'd have to say him with his style. I like his personality, just I would like to meet that guy.
Yeah, awesome. Amazing. All right, last question before we kind of head out there. 10 years from now.
10 years from now, I would like to be a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I would like to be at least having a pro career that was successful, and to be able to start my own gym. That way I can teach what experiences I have been through and the technique that I have learned. That way the next generation can feed off of that and get even better. I would love to further the generations to come, just like I've been furthered from the generations before me.
Yeah, amazing. That's the same thing with me. Is since I've been doing martial arts for 25 years, and yet, of course, I currently am a fourth degree, and then I do classes like crazy. And, I want to teach these kids of what I've went through, and then like try to build them up to getting the black belt,
Yeah.
because it's intense, like four
Yeah.
intense black belt tests, and yeah,
It's
so
awesome for the guys like you sharing your knowledge, man. I always truly appreciate that, man. And I like guys like that, like you, that would love to share the knowledge to younger generations, to us, man, because we could sure use it, and we'll keep using it, man, and involving it.
yeah, amazing. Like this is why I got this podcast, trying to get some ideas, at least tell these students like what you want to do with your life. I mean, do you want to be the way of life, or you want to be a tool? So
Yes.
yeah, so yeah, you don't want to be treated like a tool. You want to be treated like you're like a hope of life. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I,
That's amazing. I enjoy what you're doing here. I've started watching your episodes since, I've been, you've been brought to my attention, and I really love what you're going for here, man. I think it's great, and it's going to get the news out there to people, and just, let them know, it's amazing. It truly is.
yeah, it's a great thing that Emily kind of put your name out there. I mean, I had a good conversation with her. Yeah.
Yes. That podcast.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So before we kind of sell out, what's any last minute words you'd like to say to the listeners out there?
Appreciate you all out there supporting me and viewing my stuff. It's for you guys. It's you guys drive me, and it's love, nothing but love. I haven't had anybody tell me any bad things. Even when I talk about I don't want to lose, I still get love. They give me love and respect for even just going out there. So I thank you all for just the support and being part with me, and I love it. And I'm gonna keep it going. Let's keep it all going.
Awesome. Amazing. All right. So thank you very much for joining me, Jordan. And
Thank
of
you.
course, listeners out there, make sure you keep an eye on this guy. Of course, he's had 2 victories so far. So luckily, if you're watching UFC, you might see him appear and might win a title, maybe a world title, doesn't matter, but he's really looking forward to it.
Yes,
All right.
sir.
All right. So we're going to kind of close out. And for those who are just joining into my podcast, make sure you tune into my previous episodes on the BICBPradio.com, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And I'll see you next time for another episode here at the Kickpod Dojo. This is your host, TJ Williams, bowing you out.